Okay, hi and welcome to part two of the my little Unity 2D space shooter project that I'm doing to show my students how to solve or how to create a simple 2D game in their beginners programming class. So we are going to pick up where we left off in part one, and in this, the only difference that I've made since that video is that I have downloaded a much nicer font and updated the font, and that's about it. I'm still using Unity 5.41, so if you're watching this in the future, make sure it's compatible. Today's plan is that we are going to add some enemies that are going to move past the player, and we are going to add some smarter enemies that are actually chasing the player. We might update the pickup systems, but we are going to make a simple menu system as well, with a main menu, a victory screen, and a game over screen when you die. And also we are going to add sounds, which doesn't really take much time, so we're going to do that really quick as well. And that's the plan for part two, and hopefully we don't need a part three, but maybe a short one with some minor tweaks when everything is done. Yeah, my throat is a bit sore again, so yeah, I'll hope it's audible what I'm doing here, so I don't have to redo it again. Yeah. So the current state of the game is that when we hit play, we get this spaceship that can fly around and pick up this power-up, and you get score, and you can also fire your laser. So that is the current status of the game. And the next part we are going to do is that we are going to add some asteroids, meteors that flies in from the side, and I'm actually gonna randomize the direction. And if the asteroid gets far away from the player, it will reset and attack the player again. So let's start by creating the asteroid. So let's go to our sprites folder, and I added one at the beginning of the project, so I have a nice meteor. To set it up, we need to add some components. We need to add a rigid body 2D, and of course a collider. I'm going to use a circle collider and adjust the radius slightly, so it's slightly smaller than the art. It's nice. And we are going to turn off gravity, and you can check is kinematic if you like. I think it's not gonna matter. I know the latest Unity has done changes to this, and I'm not quite sure how that works. Yeah, so let's add a script that we are going to call the well, since the art here is called Meteor, we will call the script. No, we're actually going to call this script enemy stupid. Enemy stupid. Since the file name is also going to be the class name, it's recommended to start with a big capital letter. It's going to look nicer in the code. So this is our stupid enemy. Let's start by creating a reference to the rigid body, like we've done many times before. And we're also going to create two variables for setting the speed. So So we are looking up our reference for the rigid body. We have two variables for the speed, since we are going to randomize the speed between two values. So this is the minimum amount of speed and this is the maximum amount of speed. And we're going to have a function that I'm going to call reset. That is going to like trigger the asteroid to reset and then move towards the player. So we need to be able to find the player as well. So let's create a transform for that. So we are looking for the game object named player and selecting that object's transform and storing that in target. So I'm just gonna make sure, yeah, it's named player with a capital P. So that is our target. This is our rigid body and we have our speed values. So after we have collected the data we need to run the enemy, we can then just call the reset function that are going to set our starting position. It's going to set our it's going to reset our yeah, direction and speed and everything. So yeah. So first things first, we need to aim at the player. So let's type vector 3 direction equals transform position minus target position. Oh, my throat is not gonna hold for all the things I want to do, so I'm gonna try to speak a bit lower, and I'm also might split this into two. So we have a direction in which the asteroid should be moving. So let's make the asteroid move in that direction. So our rigid body speed should be direction times random range speed and max speed. So we are going in this direction and we are randomizing our speed and between speed and max speed. And this should be normalized so it doesn't affect how quick it goes. And we should also update our position. And yeah, now we need to calculate our from which angle we should attack the player. And I have shown this in class by creating an offset somewhere above the player and then letting the asteroids go down. And when they are far away, we reset them and they can go down again from a different point. But I actually want to try and see if I can get it from like different angles in from the sides. So I'm gonna do something else here when I set position. Yeah, 1 second. We are going to create how far away from the player the asteroid should spawn. So public float spawn distance. And we are going to use this to calculate our position. So our position is going to be a vector. Let's just create the vector first. So we should probably do this before we tell the rock to move. So our position should be vector 3 spawn position, and right now I'm just gonna type vector 3.0 so that I'm gonna replace this soon. So our position is going to be spawn position times spawn distance, and this we're going to do some math to calculate that. I'm gonna comment this so I know what I'm doing. We're aiming for the player and move towards target. Yeah, and I just realized that this should be larger so it's easier to see. Alright, so we're aiming for the target and we're moving to the target. And here we will calculate angle and move to start position. So this is a lot of comments, but it's more clear what I'm doing, mostly for my sake. And the vector we are creating is going to be the following. I'm actually not sure how this is going to, if this is going to work. So this is an experiment right now. Otherwise, we are just gonna make a more simpler version. So we're going vector 3, no, new vector 3. We are creating a vector, and basically, what is it? Yeah. And the first, now I think I know what I'm doing. Float angle equals random range. So we are randomizing an angle between 0 and this is going to be in radians, so it has to be math f dot pi times 2, because 2 pi's is, no, is it 2 pi's that's a full circle? Pi circle. Yeah, 2 pi's is a full circle. So we are randomizing a value between 0 and 2 pi, which is going to be our angle in radians. And our vector is going to point towards this angle. And that means that the code we will be using is the following, that the x value will be math dot cosinus angle and math f dot sine angle. So now we get an, and we are not going to care about the z axis. So now we have a different vector that are pointing out from the player, and spawn distance is going to be the distance away. So yes, let's do it like this. Okay, and now we only need to be able to reset it. And I'm actually gonna do something a bit weird right now. Each frame I'm just gonna hit reset, and that is for testing, purely for testing purposes, because this is gonna be able to make me visualize exactly what's going on in the editor. So sometimes it's actually good to make something that you know is slightly incorrect. So we have this, we have the enemy stupid, it should have a speed, and speed 0 is gonna be absolutely fine right now, and this we can just add like 2 maybe. And when you're doing slightly weird stuff and you're not 100% sure of the result, just hit that save button before you hit play. It can save a lot of work. Yeah, so check it out. It is spawning in a nice circle. I thought it was going to be around the player, but I'm not taking the player into account here, I guess. So our position should be the target position. And then we are going to add the angle times the distance. Okay, so we are now starting at the target position rather than the 0 position. And this should mean that we actually have like created a shield that are protecting us right now. We probably should not be doing it this way, but it's an option. So the next step to make this work is basically not to reset it all the time. And yeah, this is gonna be a slightly larger number that's gonna be outside the screen so that we can have it move towards us. But we need to create our proper reset code first. So we are checking if vector_t.distance between our target position and our own position, if that is larger than spawn distance plus 1, then we are going to reset it. So when we are moving to spawn position, when we are spawning, we will end up at spawn distance from the player. And if that for some reason are larger than that, because we are, let's look at it this way. We are at the edge of a circle and we should be moving in. If we are further away than that circle, then we should reset to the edge and try to move towards the player again. So that is what we're doing here. And then we hit reset. So this should work nicely. To test this now, we should add a speed, let's say 5 and 8 maybe. The spawn distance, I'm still gonna keep it a bit too small just to try it out. So spawn distance is going to be 5, and just so that the player and the rock can't hit each other right now, I'm turning off the player's collision. And that means that the rock is gonna just crisscross. Okay, so we are going in the wrong direction. And that means that move towards target. Let's just go the other way. I think we should maybe swap these around to get it to go the correct direction. Yeah. So it gets a random position, it goes towards the player, and if I move, the new one is going to like try to chase me. Yeah, this is excellent. I can't pick these up right now because I've turned off my collision. So yeah. Well, that worked surprisingly well. And if the camera is following the player, we should simply just add the diagonal length here and some more. So it's going to be like maybe 10, 12 on the spawn distance. The speed felt all right, so let's keep it at that. And we might want a few of these. So I'm actually gonna take this. It can keep that name. And I'm gonna pull it to the prefabs folder to create the prefabs. And then I'm going to add a few more. These doesn't matter where they are positioned, because they are all gonna like get a random angle and start moving straight away anyway. Yeah. But they are all basically starting at the same time. So maybe a bit more random speed to get them to spread out. But this looks okay. Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. Actually, I have to do some dodging. The fun thing is that the other enemy is just gonna ignore these and collide with them, and maybe get blown up by it, and it's gonna look awesome. So yeah, let's start with the next enemy, I think, and that is gonna be the UFO enemy. Oh, whoops. So we add a new enemy. It's gonna be called UFO Red. And let's do some sorting here. So let's create an empty game object called enemies. Let's reset it. Let's add the enemies to it. And then let's turn it off, because we are going to work on the UFO. So here we need basically the same stuff. So rigid body 2D, that is gonna have 0 gravity. I don't think we can use kinematic on this one. And we're going to use a circle collider. And the circle collider is actually, I'm gonna shrink it so it's just the center of the UFO. Something like that. So if we have multiple enemies chasing you, they can kind of overlap a bit, because it's gonna look worse otherwise. Yeah, and then we are going to add a script enemy smart. And this is going to use a few of the same things, so I'm actually gonna copy the first part of this script and paste it here, and then I'm gonna remove some stuff. We only need one speed variable. We need these two, and let's remove that. So now we are finding our player as our target. We are creating a reference to our rigid body, and we have a speed variable. So let's go to the update method. This way of controlling the player, we are simply just going to push the enemy towards the player. So we basically need to do a few more copy-paste things here. Aim for the target, that we are definitely going to need. And yeah, I think that's the only part we can copy from there right now. So we have a direction towards the target. We have 2 points and a vector between them. And let's just go our enemies rigid body, and we're going to go add force, and the force we are going to add is direction, and that is also going to be normalized, otherwise we will be faster the further away we are. And we're going to multiply this by our speed. And yeah, this is the fun part. The smart enemy is actually less code than the stupid enemy. So let's go like that, swap over and try it out. And nothing happened because we are pushing with 0 force. I have no idea of the scale here, so let's try 5. Yeah, 5 seems to work. And he got a bit too much speed, I guess. Let's try 2 and see if we can find something awesome here. Here's a really interesting thing about this. You can kind of see it already. He has entered oh, what's the English word for that? Oh, damn! I need to look that up. Yeah, orbit, of course. It's in orbit around the player. Yeah, it's just brain fart, sorry. So it's an orbit, so he's never going to hit me now. And the way to fix that is basically to give him some air resistance, but we are in space, but who cares? So just adding like 1 or 2 here is gonna dampen his movement, and of course we need to compensate by giving him more speed, but that means basically he's going to turn closer and closer and basically chase us in a pretty decent manner. And we are never going to be able to go away, because the further away we go, the more he speeds up. So that is by design, so he's never gonna give up. So we must be able to kill him soon. Yeah, so we have to do like some maneuver like that to kill him. Or maybe we can fire and aim in a different direction. Maybe that's the plan further on. Yeah, but so let's add some code so we can shoot this guy. Yeah, we want to be able to shoot both the asteroids and the UFO, and that would give you points. So that's the next step. Yes, the enemy smart. So we are going to do basically the same thing that we did with the power-ups. So let me quickly open up the pickup script here. We had this script in the pickup script, on trigger enter 2D. So let's do that here. On trigger enter 2D, collider other. That's the other game object that has interacted with us. And if the other game object is tagged player, and this is not what we're looking for. We are looking for if the other player that has collided with the smart enemy is laser. And then we don't need this debug statement. But we need to add some points to the player. And then we can destroy the smart enemy. And we are actually not going to destroy him. We are actually just going to reset him and create a new one after a certain amount of time. But let's give him public int points, and he is worth 152 points. So we will add 152 to the score controller, and this is sort of fine. We're doing it once. Yeah, let's for now let's just destroy him. We can add more enemies in a different way later. So we have that. We should basically do exactly the same thing on the stupid enemy. So let's go to the stupid enemy and add that code in here as well. So this is the stupid enemy, and we are adding the same on trigger enter. And we're checking for our laser, and the same thing here. We need to add points to this enemy. So let's go up to all our variables here at the top and add public int points, and this rocks could be worth 42 points. So awesome. Yeah, let's try it out. First things first, we must make sure that our lasers have the tag lasers for this to work, because we are checking if the object that's interacting with me, if that is a laser, then we should do stuff. So we have to make sure that we have set that up. So I select the laser prefab, and up here when it says untagged, I'm gonna hit add tag to create another one. And we have a tags and list is empty. We hit the little plus sign and we type laser, hit enter. So now we have created a tag, but we have not yet added it to the laser. So let's go back to the prefabs folder again, select the laser, and now we will find laser in this drop-down menu. Remember, capital letter in the beginning, that's laser with a big L. And also make sure when you are typing the on trigger enter that you have a capital O, T, E, D, and also here as well, a big D and a C here. So this is perhaps the number one thing my student has problem with in the beginning, that they are missing the capital letters, and you don't get an error, but the code does not work because Unity is is looking for dysfunction, and it's not looking for dysfunction, which is a different one, since it's not since it's case sensitive. The same thing here. If you have capital L in the editor, you need it here as well. And I recommend doing it with this way, because that's Unity standard, and you kind of like get into it after a while. So, okay, we should now be able to kill both our enemy types and get points for doing it. Yeah, we got 152 points. Let's activate our enemies and see if we can kill them as well. Yeah, I got them all. Awesome. And that gave me a lot of points. Cool. When we kill our stupid enemies, rather than destroying it, we could just hit reset and make it attack the player again. It's basically going to be a new one, so the enemy is not, the player is not going to know that it's the same one respawning. Yeah, of course we have to turn the enemies on. Whoa. So now we have a lot of rocks coming our way. Quite hard to hit still, since we don't have much in the way of aim. Oh, we are also seeing something here, that the shots are not being destroyed by hitting... Oh, let's see. Yeah, so the shots are just passing through. So what we should do is that we should also remove the laser that hit the enemy. So let's do that. Destroy other.gameObject, just to remove the other object here. Awesome. Let's do that on the smart enemy as well. And here the order is important, that we are destroying the other one before we destroy ourselves, because we can't destroy the other one if we don't exist. So the order there is important. I'm going to turn on the enemies here as well, so we have everything from the get-go. And we can see that they are interacting with each other and going to hit each other. Yeah, they can hit each other. Yeah, so it's starting to look quite good. I actually think I'm just going to do the menu, so I'm going to skip a few things on my to-do list, because that's the important part. We are also going to skip sound, and I'm going to do a separate stream where I just do the classic using of the game, like adding some screen shake, adding sound effects, adding particles effects, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to keep that separate from basically what's going to be the C grade level of the project. And if you use the game properly, you should be up at a B or A level. Yeah, so let's get to the menu system. It's still quite a boring game, but it's good enough for now. So let's go to our scenes folder here. This main scene is this one. So we're going to create new ones for the menu. And I'm basically going to do the main menu. And then I'm going to copy that twice to create the game over and victory screen. So let's create a new scene, and let's call that menu. And let's open the menu. And it says, do you want to save this? Yes, you do. And we have a new blank scene, and let's just create a UI text that is going to be our headline. So double click it, zoom out a bit. Make sure you're using direct transform when doing UI stuff. Do not scale anything here. You can scale like this. If you're using this scale, you're gonna have a bad time. So use this one because you get the snapping and you get everything nice and awesome. Let's call this SpaceShooter. And let's hit, let's add a font so it looks a bit better. Let's change the color to white. Let's center it and let's make it bigger. So that looks awesome. Right, I missed something. We should always start by selecting the canvas, and here on the canvas scaler we usually want scale with screen size, and you can see that my headline now moved out of the screen, but that's okay. I can just place it, but everything is gonna move out from the center when you hit that button, but it's gonna save you so much time when you're playing the game in different resolutions. So our text, since it's up in the middle, we should anchor it up in the middle, so that's the closest distance, so it's always gonna stay at the top of the screen. So I'm basically gonna have two buttons, a play button and a quit button. That's gonna be it for now. I'm just gonna see how this looks. Okay, let's, yeah, we can add a background as well. Why not? Give me 1 second to see if I have any good backgrounds pictures. I think oh. I'm sorry, I'm looking for a folder with all my photos, and I'm not sure if I have moved it from my old computer actually. Shouldn't it be that one? No, not that one. Yeah, no, I don't have that folder which I was thinking of. So I just, on the other part of the screen, Googled, I just Googled space wallpaper, and I now can drag and drop a space wallpaper. Okay, it should not be in the fonts folder, it should be in the sprites folder. So now we have it here, all right. So let's add this as the background here. So let's go create UI image. So we should not be dragging and dropping in this here, it's gonna be weird. So we are putting it in the UI. If you are in the game itself, you probably want to drag it in and not add it to the UI system, because the UI system is on top of the game. Yeah, so we have our image, so we can now take our background and put it as the source and hit the button set native size and see that it's huge. So let's just center it like that, and whoa, where's the button? There we are. Okay, sorry, let's do that again. So if you're holding the Alt key, it scales from the middle, and if you're holding the Shift key, it scales in proportion, so you don't get any stretching. And as you can see here, our background is ahead of the text, so we need to change the order up here. So let's place it in this order. All right, let's add the buttons. So let's create UI button, and I'm gonna have my buttons on this side here. So the button consists of the actual button and the button text. So here we're going to type play. We're going to update the font, and we are going to hit the best fit button. No, we are not, because that didn't look good. So let's just add some size to 20. All right. So once you have created one button, you copy that button, you can get all the settings. So don't like place all the buttons and then start fixing them one at a time. That's Bad. And since this is in the down right corner, we should anchor it at the down right corner. And copy paste, we get another button. And this one is going to say quit. Let's call it exit instead. That looks better. And if you're really, really good, you actually rename these button exit and button play. That makes it really easy to select them in the list. And also the play button is above the exit button, so it's logical and easy to find. Really take the time to do this. This could be like headline or logo or something like that, and this should be like background. So much easier to see what is what. So the goal is to have this button be able to go to the next scene, and this button should be able to quit the game. And for that we need to create an empty game object in the scene. I'm going to hit reset so it's at 0, and I'm going to call this the scene controller. The only thing you should not name this script that we're doing is the level, I think it's the scene manager, because that is already taken by Unity. So I'm gonna use controller for now. Scene controller. And this is going to be a script that is actually going to be able to change screens. So let's start by adding a new line up here saying using Unity engine dot scene management, and that is the library that can change the classes. And we don't need start, we don't need update, but we need to create a new public class. So public void load scene and string name. You can also do this with integers here, but I like the name version. It's more clear what you're doing. So we are going to go scene manager dot load scene name, and that is basically it. We are also here going to add public void quit, and here we are going to go application dot quit, and this is basically going to turn off the program, and this will not work in the editor, so you can't test it unless you build the game, but it's this simple. So here we can do other stuff like to do add save function. So if we want to save the high score or something like that before we quit, this is an excellent place to do it. And that is why it's good to wrap this code in a different function, so we can add more stuff before we do something. The same thing goes here. If we, for instance, want to save something before we load the next scene, we can add it here. There are different load scene types. You can load the next scene in the background while the current scene keeps running, so you're kind of like streaming the level in. And you might want to create like a loading image or something like that. So you can do a lot of things in this function, but for now we're going to keep them this simple. And really important that they are public, or they are not going to show up in the editor in the next step. So the next step is actually selecting the play button, and on this square here on the on click we're going to hit the plus sign, and here is a really important thing. We want to select the object with the script on it and not the actual script itself. So we are putting that down here, so we get this little icon, and we are then selecting load scene, and we want to load the main scene. And on the exit button we want to do the same thing, add the plus sign, add the score controller and scene controller, sorry, so the scene controller and the function quit. As you can see here on the play button, we got a square where we could type the main name, and on this one we didn't get it. And that is because here it wants to put in a name, and here it doesn't want to put in anything. So it actually like adapts to how we have made our code. And it's if we would try this now, I'm actually gonna show you what happens and show you the error so you can recognize it in the future, because this is something you will mess up one time or another. So let's hit play, and it said scene main -1 could not be loaded because it has not been added to the build setting or the asset bundle has not been loaded. All right. And the build settings, we can find them up here in the file menu, file, build settings. And here we have a list, scenes in build, and it's empty right now. We have this button, add open scenes, and we can get the menu. And we also need the main scene, so let's add that in. The top one, named that has the number 0, is going to be the start scene for the program. So that means that we are going to end up in this main menu. You might want to have like a loading screen or a splash screen as the 0 one, and that takes you to the menu. But for now, this is going to be just fine. And you don't hit this button now. This is for creating a standalone copy of the game. So we just hit the X button and we try again. So we are now at here, and we hit the play button and we are in the game. Awesome. That is cool. So let's now select the menu, copy paste. Okay, can't you do that? No, okay. Right click. I thought you could just copy these. Have that changed? That is really weird. Okay, let's do it like this then. We are in the menu. Let's go up and select Save Scene As. And let's call this one Victory. And we have a victory scene. And we are just gonna change this text to Victory. And the first button is going to load the menu. The second button is not going to exist at all, and this let's move it down here, and let's move it in a straight line because sometimes I'm a bit OCD. And this button should now say what should it say? Should it say play again? It should say yeah. Awesome. So we now have a victory screen. Let's go up and hit Save Scene, and then Save Scene As, and type Game Over. And this is going to be the Game Over screen. So let's have the button Oh No. Oh no. Is that one word? Oh. No, it's not. Oh no. And the text should be Game Over. So, and then we hit save. So now we have the victory screen, the menu screen, the main game screen, and the Game Over screen. So just double click this to swap between the different ones. And this goes to the menu. And this one goes to the menu. So that is why we're doing the copy paste thing. Control D says someone in chat, and Control D works. Yeah, of course. It's weird. I thought I actually tried that when I did the shortcuts, but yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so now we just have to make sure that we can win and lose our game here to go to the game over or the victory screen. And that is gonna be it for today. So we have our game controller game objects in our main scene. This might be a good time to rename it to game, but then we have to go and change it everywhere, so let's not do it right now. So our game controller has its score controller, and here when we add points we can make a check and see if score is more than 1000, then we can load the next scene. And the way I'm actually going to do that is I'm gonna set it up here first. So let's go to another scene. Let's go to the main menu. So here we have the scene controller. I'm going to create a prefab out of this and add it to the prefabs. And we now have a scene controller prefab. And that means that we can go to our game. I should have done this before I copied all the scenes, by the way. Let's go to the game. And here we can just add this prefab. And now we can look up the scene controller and tell it to change the level rather than adding all the code to this file as well. So let's go back here and we can now go game object, find object of type, scene controller dot load scene victory. So that means that when we have more than 1000 points, we have achieved victory. Let's go to our enemy stupid first. Reload everything, sure, fine. And this, we haven't set up that we can collide with the player and kill the player. So that is the next part. But, whoa, what happened? I didn't copy the right line, I think. So I wanted to copy this line and go here and just, okay, we need to add this, but it's going to say game over here. And this code is going to be the same for enemy stupid and enemy smart. So basically what we should have done is that we should have split the two scripts. We should have a player movement, a player smart movement, and a player stupid movement, and then we should have a enemy general script that is the same for everybody, because now we are having the same script here as we are having here, and now we are creating even more duplicate stuff. So let's do the following. Void on collision enter 2D. So now we're checking collision rather than trigger. Collision 2D other. And if the other .game object .tag is player, that means that we have collided with the player, and we will just tell everything game over. So we're not using any lives, any health system yet, but we might add that later. And we are just copy pasting the same code into the enemy smart. So we have this collision enter 2D. If the other object is the player, find the scene controller and load game over scene. So let's try it out. So I actually want to try to get the victory screen first. So let's get 1000 points. Whoa, that was a close one. Okay, the victory screen. We have the -1 error. That means that we haven't found the victory screen in our build settings. And if we collide, we haven't found game over either. So build settings, but since we got the errors, we actually know that the code was running and was working. So let's go to the scenes and let's add game over and victory. And since we are using the names rather than the numbers, the number doesn't matter that much. Because if we said load scene 2 and then we accidentally put victory as 2 instead of game over, then we get a lot of weird errors. So using the name actually makes it more human friendly. Okay, now I'm gonna die. So, okay, the game over scene worked. Oh no, SpaceShooter, menu, play. So now I get another try. Oh, whoa, okay. Okay, I need one more. Yeah, and I hit the last one. Victory. Awesome. And we can hit yeah, and we can get to SpaceShooter. And the exit does not work here, but it works if we build a game. Awesome. This is basically part 2. I have no idea how long I've been streaming for, but I think it's slightly shorter than part 1. Yeah. So let's hit save. And everything here should already be saved. And yeah, that is going to be it for today, probably. I'm gonna rest my voice and I might do the using part tomorrow because it's really fun, but I also might not. I haven't decided it. It's a lot of things that depends on how much time I have. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, and I'm gonna try to upload this to YouTube as soon as possible. See you around.